Greetings and blessings, everyone. Welcome to the Awaken podcast. I am your host, James Thomas Devitt, founder and director of the Awakening Network. And we are sponsored, as always, by the Blue Star Spiritual Group and the Blue Star Academy Spiritual School. In our last podcast, I had John from the UK, who is the force, if you will, behind the 432 experience. And we were talking about music and everything like that, and the power that it has in the spirituality and the frequencies and everything. And I'm hoping to have my son on when we can organize it, because he's currently living in Turkey, and he's the founder and director of Conclave Records, and he does a lot of the DJ stuff and music in the 432 hertz as well. And so it's quite, fascinating, the music that's coming out and the music that's happening. And I got to be honest with you. I had this wild thought come through my head, and I thought, whoa, because there is somebody I know that I was actually introduced by my son, who is an international singer, who's from the UK. She lives in Northern Ireland. And I asked her if she would be so kind to share a little bit of her time with us. And she has graciously said yes. So let me introduce to you. She's an international recording artist, like I said. Her name is Stellar. And so just bear with me for a moment. I want to read this little bit about Stellar out to you. Stellar has been singing for over 30 years. And she's worked with producers such as Peter Race, Saint of Sin, Enigma, Kylie, and Mark Mitchell, Cream, MTV, and is now embarking on new albums with the British Academy Award nominated film composer and musician Craig Pruis. She recently performed for the RBL Festival of Remembrance 2016 at the Waterfront Hall, Belfast, accompanied by the Royal Irish Regiment. Wow, that sounds so impressive. I've got to tell you. So please join me in welcoming Stella.
Well, that's such a lovely introduction, James. Thank you so much. And it's an absolute honor to be in the show. And it's so amazing. We were connected about 3 years ago,
Right.
through Zach, through your stepson. And I never really made the connection. But having seen you through the 432 experience, I really feel very connected to you, and I feel a soul brother resonance and soul sister resonance, and it's lovely. It's lovely to be here, and thank you for having me on the show. It's a great honor. Thank you.
Well, I really appreciate it, and I got to be honest with you. I knew that there was a connection when I first became aware of you. You did the album Saint of Sin.
Yeah, the Language of Light album, yeah.
The Language of Light album. And Zach, of course, did one of the music tracks on that album. That track actually was my ringtone for over 2 years.
Wow.
My wife and I we bought the whole album, and we would listen to it over and over again because it was so amazing. But I think the thing that really struck me, to be honest with you, is I've been speaking light language now for probably about 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I've sang in light language, although your voice is angelic, my voice is please cover your ears.
No such thing. Everybody can sing.
This album, and I'm listening to you sing in light language and everything, and it's like it literally made my soul smile.
Oh,
And
what a beautiful thing. That's the best accolade I've ever heard.
Now you've been singing for over 30 years. So what prompted you originally to move into that direction to start singing?
Well, it's a very, very interesting question. I just remember being about 4 years old, living in a place called Hollywood in Northern Ireland, where my parents were living, or it was spelt Holywood. And I got locked accidentally in the bathroom. I locked myself in. I don't think it was by accident. And my parents had this incredibly beautifully tiled bathroom, ceiling, walls, and everything. And I started to activate. I started to sing. And I could see, at that age, I could see the colors coming out of my voice. I could weave the colors with the resonance of the tiles. And I knew something really big was happening to my soul and my physical body. And it took about 3 hours before my parents could actually get me out of the bathroom. And I must have been in, it felt like 5 minutes, but apparently I was gone for a long time. So at that time I was activating, and I just remember that if there were any traumas or anything that happened after that, I was so well protected and loved and nurtured by 3 beautiful women that would come into my dream time, and they would heal me in this healing chamber. And they would ask me to sing. And they said, this is your gift to humanity. This is the bridge that you bring through with the language of your heart. And I never forgot that. I never forgot that experience of singing and seeing the notes and then weaving the colors. So at that time, I guess I was activating into my true self. And then, of course, I went through education and, life and everything else and what you're supposed to do in this realm. And then I woke up when I was about 29 to myself, and I sat with an incredible teacher in Glastonbury, and we spent 25 years together relearning and remembering the way of love for this planet.
Wow, that is like next level amazing. So, I mean, in your experiences, so you had your initial awareness, if you will, at the age of 4,
Mm-hmm.
and you mentioned these 3 women who attended you and assisted in healing and things of this nature. Now, and like so many, you got caught up into the sphere of life in a third dimensional reality.
In the Maya, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so many, as so many of us do. And have you have these, after you began your remembering and reawakening at the age of 29, did these 3 women come back to you?
Yes, they did. They did, and I sat with them all. I sat in meditation. Um, then what happened was when I started to realize who I was, I got a little bit duped and hijacked by the psychopaths that like to come in and pretend to reflect the Christ light to us. Um, and so there's been lots of duping and attacks and trying to find out who I am. So I stay very cloaked about who I am in the public, which we already talked about. But what I bring through is a resonance of divine love, as we all do, as we all have the capacity to do as divine human beings on this earth. And we're all waking up to who we are right now. I just woke up a little bit early because I had a message to bring through, and I had certain things to bring through in business and technology and space technology and all sorts of things. So I was cloaked for a long time, shall we say. But it does feel like a safer world now in this new world vibration to come out as to who we truly are. And I don't put names to this because names create an egoic attachment. But what I do is I ask people to feel the resonance of my words and to feel the resonance of my heart that I bring to this beautiful gathering here this evening, and remembrance, and I'm so grateful to you, James, for hosting this. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And I mean, it's like, this is, I got to be honest with you, this is kind of a dream come true for me, because we go through these processes where we are stretching ourselves and we are expanding who we are and expanding ourselves. And this is having you on the show is expanding myself in many different ways, and so I'm very appreciative as well. Now, I find it interesting, and I wanted to ask you about this. Um, I love your voice, and I love your music. Um, to be honest with you, I'm very appreciative of Zach, because my stepson, because he's introduced to me so many different kinds of music and groups and things like that. That is just incredible, just so amazing. And it's funny, the dance music that he generally does, I can't stand that kind of music. But I don't know if it's because it's 432 hertz or what it is, but I can actually sit and listen to his and enjoy it.
Yeah, I know the feeling. And I think when music's really good, when it touches your soul and it reaches into your heart, it doesn't matter what the genre is or what beats per minute or whatever. When the music is in the right frequency and it's speaking to your heart, that's priceless. You know, that's an incredible gift as high magi, as high priestesses, as sonic priestesses can do. Because you see, music in the past was always used to create a higher level of spiritual awareness. It was a teaching tool. And what's happened to music in the modern day is that it's lost all of that incredible um, resonance. You know, it's lost that frequency. It's become mere entertainment. Music was never meant to be entertainment. It was always a tool, a high teaching tool to elevate consciousness.
Well, I agree with that. Not only that, but it was also utilized in the healing arts as well.
Yeah.
But now I do find it interesting. You've already mentioned about being cloaked and not really presenting that spiritual side to the public so much. But then I look at some of the names of your albums, and I'm like, okay, we got Divine Harmony 1111. We've got Sounds of Light, Codes of Light, the Magdalene Codes Activation 1 and 2, Voices of the Soul. And I'm thinking to myself, are you really sure that you're cloaked?
Well, the wonderful thing about sound is that it cuts through the ego identity. It cuts right through to the heart. There's no names for it because it's sonic resonance, and I like that because it's very dangerous for people to get egoic attachments about who somebody is. And you get this devotional thing, and you get all this stuff that can be really like an attachment that the dark forces can move through. So I tend to stay away from any labels and just put some labels on my music so people know who I am and what I'm bringing through without a word, or a name. And I would rather they feel the resonance rather than stick a label on me who they think I might be, because everybody's coming up into their own power right now. It's an incredible time.
Well, now on that, and I understand that completely, because I am one of these people that I hate labels, because people get so caught up in a label, and it doesn't, generally speaking, it doesn't really reflect completely what something is.
Right.
So for yourself, it's like, we've had conversations before, and you are very in tune with the energies and very in tune with the sound vibrations and things like this. So let me ask you a question. You've been spiritual for a long time. You've
Yep.
done
Yep.
music for a very, very long time.
hmm
So in your opinion, let's try and narrow it down a little bit. Over the course of the last, let's say, 5 to 6 years, what differences have you noticed about the music that you're bringing through now?
Well, I think for me personally, I've seen a sonic resonance that carries a frequency that wakes people up to their true divine nature. And I've not seen it before. You know, I've been on this 432 journey for 10 to 12 years.
Wow. Okay.
And I've been on the musical journey for lifetimes. You know, I can go back and trace other lifetimes where I know this stuff. So I've been kind of positioned, if you like, to be a bridge between the divine and the matter when it comes to sonics and sound, as a divine feminine person, if you like, or an avatar. So that is my role. The more that I'm serving the goddess through sound, the more rewards that I reap, and the more that resonates out to the listeners. So my role really is to touch hearts, and I've certainly seen in the last 5 years hearts opening. The feedback has gone exponential to my music, where people are writing to me and saying, oh my God, what are you doing? What are you? And I'm like, I'm just the conduit. I'm not doing anything. But whatever you're receiving is divine. And it's really beautiful, and go with it. And I've had people in tears that I work with in workshops. I've had people in like royals at the waterfront hall bubbling their eyes out when I'm singing a 1950s, you know, Sinatra song or something. You know, it's incredible, incredibly moving that I have a gift that I can share, that I'm not attached to, because I just allow the divine to move through me and get the ego out of the way. And that has really exponentially rocketed in the last 5 or 6 years. It's been amazing to receive people's feedback about the spontaneous healings that they've received. Or even now I'm talking to a guy at Oxford University. I mentioned this in our last interview when we got together with Zach and John. And I had a guy write to me saying, I hear you're into 432 and the harmonic series of numbers and maths and music. And I said, yes. And he said, well, you know, we're pioneering curing migraine headaches in their tracks. And we've narrowed it down. And I said, don't tell me. I know what frequency you're using. You're using a D note in 144 hertz. And he kind of went, what? He scratched his head. And he said, how do you know that? And I said, well, because I know my stuff. You know, I'm bringing this through the lifetimes. And he said, my God, after 30 clinical trials, we've narrowed it down to D146 hertz. So I said, well, you're getting really close to the true tone now. You know, you're getting close to really, truly healing people at that level of the chakra base of their head space and their throat. And of course, D144 is very powerful for healing anything in the head space.
Can I throw something out at you? You are a phenomenon when it comes to music, and I've known that since the first time I heard you several years ago.
Oh wow! What an
But
accolade! Thank you.
but you see, for myself, where I'm not into singing per se, because I'm not. That's not where my forte is. I have other fortes, and one of the fortes that I have is actually being able to tune into people's past lives. And so there, and I don't know whether you've actually connected in with this or not,
Are
but
you going to expose me?
it may answer one or two questions. It may not, but it may answer one or two questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, back in Lemuria,
Mm-hmm.
long time ago, you were actually one of the very top masters of sound vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why you are so good at what you do. Because you have literally, and it's not just there. When I was, because we, you know, for people who may not know, I do these when I'm doing this with somebody, I do these in Zoom. And so I can see Stella, and we've had conversations before, and I can tell you, you've done sound healings and taught sound healings in Lemuria in Egypt, in Greece, I mean, in Persia, in China. This is your forte. This is your mastery, if you will. You could literally, and so like when you said that you would be singing, and even the Royals would cry from you singing a Frank Sinatra song from the 50s. That's because you have the ability to clue in on those tones and those vibrations that has the ability to touch people no matter who they are, where they come from, whether they've heard your music before or not. So that's my forte, is being able to see things like that. So
Wow.
I just wanted to mention that to you because I didn't know whether you were aware of the Lemurian thing, because there's a huge temple. It's a healing temple. It's the main healing temple, and you actually teach sonic and sound vibrations and healing, and how it actually vibrates and actually affects every cell of the body.
Yes, I did know that, and thank you,
There you
because
go.
I don't often come out with that stuff, but it's very interesting because there's a track that I recorded, which is the Ancient Mothers of Lemuria um, mantra, which is Om Maya Makita Rakuana Pe Anamu. And that is in the track I recorded about 10 years ago called 144. So what it's doing is it's calling everyone's monadic field or soul group to come into the human body now and embody for this time, which is the Lemurian template when we all lived in complete harmony, which is, of course, why then I worked with Derek in South Africa and created Divine Harmony. So you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on,
Okay,
and it's
cool.
so nice. It's so nice to be seen, James. Thank you.
You know, I kind of like the movie Avatar when their comment of "I see you."
Yeah, I see you, and I feel that, and
Yeah,
thank you
and
for
so
saying that because
it's
yeah,
cool because it's a confirmation that what I'm getting is accurate and it's real and it's good. So
yeah, the ancient mothers of Lemuria are very much rising right now through the collective consciousness. The poster girl, if you like, is Magdalene because she was beloved during the time of Christ, 2,000
correct.
years ago.
Yes.
But what's really coming through are these Lemurian divine mothers to restructure the matriarchal balance with the patriarchy, and it's all done with sound. All of my work is done at the very essence before matter is formed, which is sound. And this is the bridge, this is the Lemurian bridge into the matriarchy and patriarchy imbalance, which we've never experienced on this planet before. We're all way showers for this.
Oh, I agree completely. Now, one other thing that I wanted to ask you is, because I know that you sing and speak in light language.
I do, yes.
Now, one thing that just really blows my mind, when I first started speaking light language in 1995, I could easily go 18 months or so without meeting anybody who could also speak in light language.
Sure, sure.
And of someone that I've met recently, um, introduced me to a group online, and I have discovered that there are thousands upon thousands of people speaking light
Mm,
language, and it
yeah, that,
actually
yeah.
happened just over the course of the last anywhere from 3 months to within the last 5 years.
Sure, everyone's being activated now through the Christ code, the Unity Christ consciousness codes, which are the divine feminine, divine masculine codes and balance, which are coming through. If I can take this up a notch, 22 different galaxies within this universe have created an alliance, and we are absolutely being flooded with that photonic light from the pleroma, which is the galactic central sun of each galaxy. Now, I personally speak about 800 different star languages. I also speak the angelic language of light and the Zep-Tepi language, the ancient languages, Eblate. They're all in my DNA. So when anybody's listening to my music, it just depends on what star system you're from, but I'm pulling it through. And I'm also part of this 22 different galactic alliance. So yes, you're you're definitely resonating and feeling what I'm doing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I actually also, I speak an unlimited number of light languages as well.
I know that when
Yeah,
you first said I speak 8 light languages, I was like, no. I think he speaks a few more than that, because we
yeah.
tune into these constellations, we tune into these cosmic energies, and as conduits, literally, I am the instrument. And when I get out of the way, when Stella Fairbairn, her egoic self, gets out of the way as a tool, because my ego is a tool for creativity. But when I get out of the way and I allow these conduits through, it's not channeling, it's literally you become an instrument of the divine to be used in the way of love. And it's all sorts of different languages and things that come through. It's incredible.
Well, that's absolutely true. And the thing that I've noticed is that it seems to me that the majority only speak one particular form of light language.
Hmm.
There is a particular group of individuals who speak a multitude of light language dialects, what I
Yeah, yeah.
term as dialects.
Hmm.
And they are a particular group of individuals. Um, when did you become, when did speaking light language start for you?
Well, as I said, when I was 4, and then I sort of forgot myself, as you do, through this Maya
Yep.
or illusion that it's the AI programming that you go through the veil of forgetfulness as you're born, and then you wake up when you're really young. I remember having light language conversations with my daughter when she was 2, and I was 38, 39 years old. We were having this incredible dialogue of the heart together, and she was pulling through Lyran light language,
Ah,
the sonics. So, I mean, over the years, I found out where my soul group is from, and we're from a different galaxy. We're from Andromeda, so we're from the kind of archangelic realm that comes to rebuild. As such, we're the rebuilders. We come in and mop up. We walk through very dark places with our light. We have to go through very dark initiatory processes to fully ignite the light that we are here on earth, and we go through very difficult life experiences, which ignites our light language and makes it much stronger. So we have great gratitude to the dark ones that had to play their roles. And so really for me it was 4, and then when I was 29, I sat on the foot of the Tor in Glastonbury, and my teacher, who's been my teacher and my great guide for a very long time, manifested in a physical body for 25 years of my life, which was my last training, who is called Isis, the mother goddess Isis.
mm-hmm.
So she is divine mother god. And she moves through me in very different ways, but a lot of the time sonically. Sometimes I bilocate, and she comes through me and speaks through me, her beloved also. And we are, if you like, reseeding and rebuilding heaven on earth. That's the remit for now.
Well, I agree completely. So, the information that I've received and that I've had for some time is that Project Earth is several different phases, and when we hit the 21st of December 2012, that was like the point of no return. So,
Right.
if past that point, the evolution of what I term the native human population is assured.
Hmm.
Then phase 1 was completed in 2015, and now we're moving into phase 2. And so with that, we're having all these people awaken
Yeah,
and
yeah.
really bring through that energy. So in your opinion, let's say over the next 5 years, how do you see, or what do you feel is going to be happening over the next 5 years with regards to music, with regards to what's going on with the planet?
All I can say is you ain't seen nothing yet. It's beyond the realm of imagination. It's beyond the realm of human comprehension what is about to transpire. And that's the most beautiful thing about the grand experiment that we all volunteered to come into. I have to say, if you do feel that you're a leader or somebody in a position of wisdom and carrying lifetimes of DNA experience, then it's your time now to step up, because there is a huge selection process going on right now for ones that are sticking their hands up and going, you know what, I'm ready to pull this through. And then for the rest of us, if you like, that are not stepping into what I would call the royal road, okay, I call it the royal road because these are the ancient kings and queens that are coming forward right now because they know what they have to do. And for everybody else, your imagination is the biggest creatrix and creator tool that you have to create a life beyond your wildest imaginings. And all you have to do is really open up to that. So nobody really knows what's going to happen, but I do know that we, with the new photonic light and the Christ codes and the unity Christ consciousness that's coming through the 22 Galactic Alliance right now, is that there is such great joy and bliss and love and beauty on this planet. It's almost like, if you can imagine the human emotional scale in the old world, it started off in a very low vibration of shame and fear and guilt and anger.
Yep.
And then it went all the way up to joy and bliss and ecstasy and beyond, and words that we don't have for these new feelings that we're feeling.
Yep.
You know, when you're absolutely, you know, dare I say, trying not to wet yourself with laughter, you know, that's extreme joy. It's extreme pleasure. It's extreme bliss. And we're going to start at joy. Joy is going to become the new base frequency. So for people that are stepping into this new 5D earth, and I mean, I operate roughly around 55D, and I have to ground myself and constantly bring myself back into 5D and sometimes into 3D and 2D when I'm cleaning up or I'm doing my work. So for me, I'm constantly lowering my vibration, but then I'm raising it up too, and I'm bringing a lot of people with me, and of course the beloved energy that I'm working with, and everybody else like yourself, James. We're all doing that at a soul level. So it's a balancing act for sure, but we're going into extreme joy. We're going into extreme bliss and ecstasy that this world has never known, and it's such a joy to be here.
You know, it's interesting. And it's interesting, a couple of points there. I've been telling people for a long time that there's two tools that every starseed has. That is, if people would actually start using them properly, would make all the difference in the world. One is discernment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The other, and you are the first person besides myself that I've heard say this, imagination.
Yeah.
And it's like, because of the imagination, it's enabled me to be able to create amazing journeys and meditations. And it's interesting that, you know, you were saying that you're always moving throughout all these different dimensions and everything like that. I do the same thing. I was speaking with a client just a couple of days ago, and she was complaining about being able to ground properly. And I was able to come out with a brand new grounding meditation that is for star seeds only.
Mm-hmm. Good idea.
And
Yeah.
it actually connects them not only where they're grounded here, but where they're fully connected to home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nice. I like that. And it's an incredible honor and privilege to be here on this planet right now, because this planet has not experienced this before, except for when it was Lemurian, right? And we're going back to Lemurian, this Lemurian connection that you were talking about, where we totally lived in balance and harmony. We had these sound temples, everything was in resonance. It was a beautiful experience. And then, of course, we kind of lowered in density to learn through this Kali Yuga that we've just experienced, this dark night of the soul for Gaia. And we have been, if you like, AI programmed and syntax back into this looping system to gain and garner the experience. Even though the dark ones were doing this to us, we gained so much knowledge and experience to come out this other side now, and to be able to say, okay, we've learned about straight lines, and we've learned about how they operate and everything else, but we operate in a very different level. We operate from this
Yeah.
spiral of expansion,
Yeah.
and it's an incredible time for people to really tap into their inner wisdom and their inner deep knowing of the heart. And that's what I do with my workshops. I allow people to just remember the ancient pathway into the heart that we all knew back then. And now it's the time to reconnect with that heart space. It's so much more powerful than the mind. That the mind is a tool and servant to the heart. And of course, the ancient Egyptians and Lemurians always knew this. So it's about creating a balance within our experience to do this. And it's a great experiment. Nobody really knows in the next 5 years what's going to happen. If I was to give you my prediction right now, I would say we'll probably all revert to being about 30 to 37 years old in physical features because of the technology, because that's when we're at our optimum spiritual potential. I would say the children will be leading the way because they are coming in with a DNA code set that is way beyond any of us in our 40s, 50s, or 60s. They're going to be the new teachers. And there will be technology on this planet that is life affirming, that is expansive, and that is beautiful for the evolution of Gaia and all her beings on this library we call Earth, this living library, which is very much a Pleiadian influence as well. They really have come in to save the day.
Well, I mean, they were very much involved at the beginning of this project because there was a world within the Pleiadian star system that they were the last ones to go through the evolutionary track and ascension and everything. And as the last ones to successfully go through that, they've been involved with this project as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why so many of the native cultures, like Native American Indians, Native Hawaiians, all these, even the Maori here in New Zealand, they all speak of the Pleiades.
Sure.
In fact, in New Zealand, the Maori New Year is in June, when the Pleiades, they call it Matariki, which is the Maori word for the Pleiades, and it's when the Pleiades is seen in the sky again.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So it's a very powerful thing, and there is so much going on at the moment on so many different levels. And the thing is you mentioned the fact that certain ones are being asked to step up, or they're volunteering to step up. See, for myself, I have felt for a very long time that I have been prepared for this time ever since 1986, when I started walking this path consciously full time. I had my own experiences when I was much younger, and it's like it's now time to put on that cloak.
Yeah.
And to put on that crown and to say, yes, here I am. I'm going to step up. I'm doing this. And it is a little challenging, just like it's challenging to let the veils down and let everybody see who you are and all of these different things. But then again, I kind of feel like people can actually know more about you personally just listening to your music.
Right, and that's the key for me. That's the key, to sharing that bridge of love between divine and matter. Sound has always done that, and Pythagoras, I think, was probably the greatest pioneer in all of that, and he's here in a physical body too. who is very much part of the 432 team, which I will not reveal. That's entirely up to him. But yeah, I'd love you to talk more, James. I'm just going to mute for a little bit here because I've got somebody at the door. So please go ahead and talk.
No worries, no worries. And so it's really a fascinating experience. And while Stella is taking care of something that she needs to take care of, let me just let you in on real quick. You can access Stella's website. It's HTTPS, then of course the colon with the 2 slashes, and it's Stellar, STELLAR 1, the actual number 1, .bandcamp.com. Now I will be including that in the when I put out the message online with regards to this particular podcast. She's got amazing albums. Her voice is amazing. If you actually listen to her music, you will actually discover things that will just blow your mind. This is something that is taking things to a completely different level of what's happening on the planet at the moment. People are awakening in numbers unlike anything that you've ever seen before. I'm watching people who are opening the door to light language, and although much of the light language that they are currently utilizing is very simple light language, it is actually it's opening that door, and the more that they work with it, the more it will open up in a massive way, in a beautiful way. And being able to connect at this level is truly beyond where you may think things are right now. I know for a lot of people, there's a lot of people who kind of have given up hope on certain things, but as we're discovering, like in this conversation with Stella, there are those working very, very diligently on many different levels that is designed to assist in so many different ways.
Yes, James, and I'm back again, and you're so right. It's incredible because I call them the unsung heroes. These are people who are going into the most extraneous three-dimensional scenarios and holding incredible levels of light and love and mastery to deprogram a program that has held us hostage for a very, very long time. And I have to take my hat off to those people. And I'm actually doing a fundraiser right now. Maybe we can post it on the link, because I've got light workers all over the planet who are totally on their ass. And there seems to be a meme or a program out there that says, oh, well, that's our great awakening. And yes, it is. But there is no need to prolong the suffering of these people who are doing incredible work, and to assist and help them. I've got one light worker out in Lima, Peru, and he's been attacked for the last 3 nights. He's out on the street. He doesn't have any money, and he's doing incredible work, but he's living rough. I've got a couple of mums that are going through incredibly difficult circumstances with the courts, where children have been removed from their care through lies and injustice, and there's all sorts of really awful stuff happening. So, as a way shower and as a mother energy myself, there's part of me that really wants to nurture. So if I can post that link to help, just even give these guys a decent night's sleep or something to eat, it's that bad. It's that bad for a lot of people.
Well, if you just send me the link through Messenger, when I post the podcast, I'll include that link in that message.
Thank you, sweetheart, because they need our help. And, I've been funding and doing what I can and pulling through stuff for them. with the goddess energies, but we all need to be self-responsible, and we all need to be at some level responsible for taking care of each other. And this is the thing that we've lost.
Very true. And the thing is, and I want to mention this, it's like for those spiritual people, it's not just about being out there doing readings and stuff. To give you an example, my wife she's an incredible channeler. She's done tarot for over 20 years. She's probably one of the most incredible spiritual minds on the planet. And she's a social worker. And,
Yeah.
and she works in oncology.
Wow.
So she's working with she's got patients who are like in their mid 30s, mid 40s who have up to like 5 kids, and
Wow.
they've got like 2 months to live.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the people that she's dealing with, and these are the people that she's working with. And so you can make a difference no matter what job you're doing, no matter what work you're doing.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
the thing is there's so many people who are spiritual who for some reason think that, well, in order to be spiritual, I can't, you know, money's evil, and I can't have a mainstream job. I worked in a mainstream job for the majority of my life.
Well, we come here as infiltrators. Sorry to interrupt you, but I worked as a company director in new media and online technology for a very long time, and also newspapers. And we come to infiltrate those systems and give people hope, because we
Correct.
come to turn them around. And
I
that's
agree.
what's been asked.
I agree completely. So let me ask you this, Stella. What is coming up in your world? What's coming up for you in the near future?
Well, what am I creating would be a better question,
Okay,
I
let me
guess.
rephrase the question. What are you creating now?
I'm creating things like mass healings with music for the planet, for all beings on the planet. My beloved energy has clicked in here in the physical, so we're doing a lot of work to do with international human rights law. We are bringing through divine law again to this planet. I was actually talking about this last night in one of my little video emanations from the heart. And we haven't had divine law on this planet for a very, very long time. And
True.
so what happened, since Lemurian times, what happened on the 1st of January, very proud to say this from the bottom of the top of my heart, is that the divine mother decrees were anchored fully on earth. And this is a huge deal. This is a huge deal for the patriarchy to kind of step to the side and allow the matriarchy and the divine mother balance to come up and be upheld by that divine masculine energy. And what I'm seeing right now is incredible souls in a male body reuniting with their beloveds. And it's the most joyful, beautiful experience to witness. And divine law is here. It hasn't been here for a long time because we've been learning through the timelines and through the life experiences about how not to do it with the patriarchy. We learned how not to do it with the total matriarchy as well. And so what's happening in this grand experiment is something very new, where you have male and female, divine masculine, divine feminine, walking as equals together. And
Yes.
this is where the real balance of the planet comes into action. And if you're not a fae with divine law, just go and look up the 12 divine laws of this planet, and it's here now. It's really here. And the dark ones that have been violating divine law are being held to account at this time. There's a very long queue in the company of heaven right now for redemptions. And so, as divine beings, we don't take revenge, or we don't retaliate. What we do is we give those beings who were in the dark and had to play their roles out for this to happen, we give them forgiveness, and we also give them a scenario where they are being redeemed to turn and serve the light, the true light, and they are also being asked to serve humanity. at this time. And if they don't like the offer, then what we do is we introduce their beloveds to them, and they remember love for the first time, because what they forgot was the love, and they turn to power. That was their base, the money, the corruption, the greed, and all the avarices, all the 7 deadly sins. So what's happening right now is they're either being introduced to the beloveds, and if that doesn't shift them, then they're going back into the galactic recycling unit to come back and do it all again somewhere else. But they're not allowed on this planet anymore.
Well, no, I understand that extremely well. It is a situation where there are massive changes going on, and it is something that needs to be addressed in a more succinct way.
Mm-hmm.
And it is happening, and it's happening for a reason, because everything is changing so that the new can come in. And it's so powerful, and it's like every time you do something along these lines, then it's going to be a situation where like every time you sing, the energy that is created by that is actually going into the collective unconsciousness.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so you can sing there in Northern Ireland, and somebody in Russia will be able to feel the energies of that.
Yes, it's all about resonance, yeah, in what I would call the divine frequency, which is the harmonic series of 432 hertz, which is the most important thing. I mean, if I became a multi-billionaire tomorrow, the first thing I would do is retune international concert pitch standard tuning to 432 hertz and rebuild the whole instrument building scenario. Because when we are all emanating from that divine harmonic series, which is part of the grand design of this universe, it's part of the human makeup, it's part of the divine meat suits that we've all been given here to incarnate on this earth. It's part of the plant kingdom, the mineral kingdom, the elemental kingdom. All kingdoms and all realms unite through this frequency. And it allows me, as a sacred songstress here on earth, in my physical vessel, to sing through dimension.
Yes.
To reach all realms with this divine voice.
Now, I wanted to ask, because you have mentioned moving through dimensions and everything like that a great deal.
Yes, yeah.
Have you noticed more of a situation of skewed time?
Excuse me, not necessarily skewed time, but what I'm seeing is that all timelines are playing out right now as one. So the way I would describe that is I had a life with Christ. And then when I transitioned from that light out of the AI program, which we call the temporal realm or the dimension we were in, because we're moving out of it now, then I came back and I decided to kick some Roman ass. I didn't really like what they did to Christ. So I came back in a lifetime as a Celtic warrior queen, known as Boadicea. And
I'm familiar with her.
yeah, so she was a high priestess of Isis, and
Uh-huh.
she came back to cleanse and to clear the Roman program. Now, the Roman program is so important to now because this is what we're dismantling. The Roman program is linked very much to the Vatican and the abuses of humanity that has been caused through that system, and through the how shall I say, the capitalization of timelines and ley lines of this earth. And they're very well versed in how they do that, through the corruption of children, and taking away the divinity and the innocence. You know, they're allergic to the innocence. The archonic influence that's been influencing the Vatican is allergic to the goddess energy, to innocence, and to children. And it's a really huge subject. I don't think we'll have time to discuss that right now because it goes into the darker annals of what we've been through. But all I can say right now is that, you know, those days are numbered for those people. They're being held to account left, right, and center. And it's a good thing, because it's time now that we got rid of the holding to account and we go into that creator mode, that creatrix that we all are, and we start visioning how we're going to rebuild heaven on earth. That's the remit, really, for right now.
And I agree completely with what you've just said. And there is something that is occurring that is just next level.
Yeah, big
You
time.
know, and it's like we have to realize that what's going on is much larger than anybody actually realizes.
It is. It really is. We're just the edge of the wedge here, James. We're the edge of the wedge of our star systems and the knowledge we bring through, and all these crystalline, incredible children. But going just back to Bodicea for a moment, if we imagine a spiral that goes from the time of Christ outwards, and Bodicea was the next level, and now we're at 20 levels, and it's all happening at once. We're bringing this multi-dimensional timeline back into what we call the moment of now, the 0 point, the oneness. So we're experiencing in our everyday life as a human here on earth all of these timelines playing out, and every life in this lifetime that we're presently in, this elevated lifetime, we're witnessing life experiences of all those different lifetimes now. And the more that we can meet every single one of those challenges or initiations with love, and especially unconditional love, we dissolve the past. It's almost like we're going into a time where we'll have no memory of what happened before.
You know, that's absolutely correct, because what's going to end up happening is it's kind of like this scenario here. You go through different experiences. You are able to completely release everything to do with those experiences. You still maintain and hold the what you learn, the experiences, all of these things, so you can draw upon them. But the actual the events themselves finally get buried, finally get completely released. Absolutely correct.
Dissolved. Yeah, they get dissolved
Yes,
with
dissolved.
unconditional love is the balm for that. You know, I've been put through this lifetime.
Are you still there? Looks like we may have an issue here. We'll just wait a moment. Again, you can find Stella's music at stellar1.bandcamp.com. And there are 14 different albums on there. Are you back, Stella? Okay, here we go. I'm not hearing you. Can't hear you. Okay, we seem to be having a little bit of technical difficulties in the moment. Okay, so that's gone off now. So unfortunately, Stella has dropped out. So we're gonna close the show now. I want to thank Stella Fairburn so much for joining me today. This has been an enlightening conversation. You can now, so excited, you can now discover us on www.bluestarspiritual.org. We are now online with our website. Again, thank you to Stella, and I hope everyone enjoys this. Have a wonderful weekend and enjoy yourself. Many blessings. See you later. Bye-bye.